So picture this. It was the early 1990s and General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, IBB, who was also popularly referred to as the political Maradona, was still in power. Now, somewhere in Lagos, a young man barely 27 years old was tasked with being the managing director of the All States Trust Bank. Now, the shocking part of this story was that he had just joined the bank barely 12 months earlier. But even more shocking was that he didn't even fully meet the stated requirements to apply for the role in the first place. But in his application letter, he wrote something bold because he was quoted to have said, "If you give me this opportunity, I will prove myself." And that was what he went on to do. Not just to the bank, not just to Nigeria's financial institution, but to Africa as a whole. And what most people don't know is that a few years back, during his compulsory NYSC program, he had worked at Union Bank. And when his service year was over, he was not retained. This rejection had pushed him back to the drawing board, where he ended up selling copier machines, photocopier machines, right? Just for survival. And so fast forward to 1997, at the young age of 34, during the harsh Abacha regime, when Nigeria was in the middle of a tough economic climate, he went on to acquire Crystal Bank, which he transformed into the Standard Trust Bank, STB, and became one of the youngest CEOs in Nigeria's financial sector. And later on in 2005, he went on to lead one of the biggest mergers in African banking history. A merger between his own Standard Trust Bank, STB, and the United Bank for Africa, UBA. Thus at 41, he became the CEO of that new banking giant, one of the youngest ever to hold that position, a position he held until 2010 when the regulations made by the then CBN governor, Sanusi Lamido Sanusi, required him to step down, and thus at the age of 47, he was already enjoying what some of us would call an early retirement. But guess what? He wasn't done. Because in that same year of 2010, he went on to establish Hairs Holding, his family-owned investment company, which is a Pan-African conglomerate with interest in energy, power, healthcare, hospitality, financial services, and real estate, sectors that are the very backbone of Africa's growth. And still in that same year of 2010, he went on to launch his foundation, the biggest African philanthropic initiative dedicated to empowering young entrepreneurs. Through its entrepreneurship program, it has trained, mentored, and funded thousands across all 54 African countries, fueling businesses that create jobs and change lives. And if you've ever heard the word Africapitalism, a philosophy that says that Africa will rise not by aid, but by the private sector empowerment, it's because he created it and championed it and decided against all odds to leave his mark not just on Nigeria, but on Africa as a whole. This is the story of the man in the white shirt, a red tie and a red socks. This is the story of Tony O.